So I'm going to repeat myself from my video. This one is no, because even though we have a pattern that's repeating, in order for it to be a periodic function, the y values actually have to repeat exactly. And we have the y values that are following a pattern, but they're getting bigger and bigger as we go along, not staying the same for the whole way, right? Whereas this one is a repeating pattern, but it is consistent with its maximum y values and its minimum y values. The midline stays the same place the whole time. The midline has to be a horizontal line. This one, the midline would not be horizontal, right? Okay, if the period of a function is 4 seconds, how many cycles does it have in a minute? How would you figure something out like that? So 1 minute would be 60 seconds. And so if each cycle is 4 seconds long, we can divide that out, right? So 60 seconds, a 4-second cycle in 60 seconds will give us how many cycles? 15 cycles per minute. If it was going around and around, then it would be what we call revolutions per minute. What is the period of a function that has 180 cycles per minute? How are we going to figure that one out? We divided in the last one. How do we... We just know how many cycles there are in 1 minute. We don't know how long the period is. How come we're dividing yet again? Why is that? What's the answer to that anyway? 1/3 cycle. No, 1/3 of a second for each cycle. And what do we call that? What were we answering? That's the period of that, right? So why in both cases did we divide? Do you guys remember back when we learned about inverse variation? These two things are inversely related. We divide on both of them because it doesn't matter which value we're finding, whether we're finding the period of the cycle or how many cycles per length of time, which, by the way, is called frequency. It doesn't matter which one we're finding, we have to take it and divide it out, okay? All right, try these couple problems for me. We'll just kind of do it together. 3, yes or no? Yep. Okay. So this one is not periodic, so let's not find the period. There is kind of a repeating cycle of mountains and valleys, but it's not going to have the same y values over and over. Okay, what about this one? Yes, what's the period of this one? I would say start at the bottom of this mountain and end at the bottom of that one, but it kind of crosses a weird place. So we could go from a different spot. Sometimes it's just easiest to go from 0. You're counting by 2. So from 0 to that line there, which is labeled with an 8. So I believe you're right, the period is probably 8. We didn't do the period on this first one here, did we, care? There to there. 2, 3, 4. Is it 4 again? Okay. Alright, now let's talk about amplitude and midlines. So you've got those definitions there. I told you they would come later. So if you didn't write them down earlier, there they are at the page, top of page 382. Okay, so amplitude. First of all, amplitude is always a positive number because it's a distance. Period period is also always a positive number because it's also a distance. So period and amplitude are always positive numbers, okay? Amplitude, do you remember the definition again? What is it? Yep, half the distance from minimum to maximum. So let's go ahead and find a maximum point on our graph here. Where is there a maximum point? That's at a y value of 1, right? Okay, how about a minimum value on our graph? Y equals -2. How far is it from 1 to -2? A distance of 3, and then what's half of that? 1.5. If you wanted to actually find that mathematically with like a formula of some sort, just do the absolute value of y1 minus y2 and then divide that answer by 2. Why did I do absolute value? Amplitude is a distance, it's always positive. So if we were to take 1 and then subtract a -2, 1 minus a -2 is 1 plus 2, which is 3, and 3 split in half is 1.5. So there's the amplitude. Now, how do we find where the midline is going to be located? Okay, we could go 1.5 above 2, or -2 rather. Or what's another way we could find the midline? Go 1.5 down from the maximum 1, right? So where is the midline going to be? Y equals -1/2 or -0.5, whichever way you prefer to write your answer. Although fractions are our friends. Don't ever forget. All right. Let's do, try 5 and 6 for me. Go.